The grand hall of the Imperial Council shimmered with 1,000 lights, each refracted through the translucent crystal columns that supported the vaulted ceiling. Captain Aaron Tala stood at attention, her spine rigid as the metallic staff she carried, a symbol of her diplomatic authority. The hall orbiting Novara 4 buzzed with anxious energy as representatives from a dozen star systems crowded the chamber, their varied physiologies creating a kaleidoscope of forms and colors. Aaron's emerald skin caught the ambient light as she surveyed the assembly. Despite her youth, merely 73 cycles, she had earned her position through a combination of empathy, intelligence, and unwavering loyalty to the Empire. Today, however, that loyalty was being tested. The humans cannot be underestimated. Ambassador Keth's voice resonated through the hall, his luminous Altarian form pulsing with each word. 7 species have ventured to their world. 7 species have either vanished entirely or retreated in terror. High Chancellor Vor, the wizened leader of the Imperial Council, waved a dismissive tendril. Your concerns are noted, Ambassador, but the Infinite Empire has conquered 2,000 worlds. This, Earth, appears to be a primitive backwater. Our scans show chemical propulsion, nuclear fission, technology centuries behind our own. The Nexari delegate, a swirling mass of gaseous intelligence, expanded in agitation. That is precisely what the Korans thought before their armada disappeared. Aaron watched the exchange, her inner eyelids fluttering with concern. The Altarians were known for their precognitive abilities, and Ambassador Keth's warnings carried weight. Yet the Empire's doctrine of expansion was clear. All habitable worlds would eventually fall under Imperial control. I have had visions, Keth continued, his form glowing more intensely. Ships shattered by invisible forces, fleets decimated. This world is not what it seems. General Vex, the imposing military commander, whose exoskeleton gleamed with medals of conquest, stomped forward. We have heard enough of these superstitious warnings. The Infinite Empire does not cower before primitives. High Chancellor Vor nodded, his ancient face creasing into what passed for a smile among his species. Indeed, Captain Tala will lead a diplomatic mission to assess this world, followed by the full might of our conquest fleet. We will depart in 6 weeks. This meeting is adjourned. As the assembly dispersed, Aaron felt a cold dread settle in her thoracic cavity. She had studied the reports, read between the lines. Something about Earth defied explanation. How could a world with such apparently primitive technology have repelled advanced civilizations? Ambassador Keth approached her, his luminescence dim to a worried glow. Captain Tala, I implore you, be cautious. The humans, they're different. They're waiting. Waiting for what, Ambassador? For the next fool who doesn't heed the warning. The Imperial flagship Dominator emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, followed by a fleet of 3,000 vessels, ranging from nimble scout ships to massive dreadnoughts. From the command bridge, Aaron gazed at the distant blue-white orb that was their destination. Status report, she commanded, her voice steady despite her misgivings. Vice Admiral Mora, a tall, graceful being with multifaceted eyes, gestured toward the holographic display. All ships present and accounted for. Captain. Initial scans confirm previous intelligence. Chemical rockets, nuclear energy signatures, rudimentary satellite communications. And the anomalies reported by the Altarians? Mora hesitated. Nothing conclusive, Captain. Though, there are occasional sensor ghosts, fleeting energy signatures that appear and vanish before we can analyze them. General Vex strode onto the bridge, his heavy footfalls announcing his presence before he spoke. Sensor malfunctions, nothing more. This conquest will be swift and glorious. Aaron nodded, not trusting herself to speak. The journey from Novara had given her time to review the scattered reports from previous encounters with Earth. The Altarians had sent a single scout ship, which returned damaged but intact. The Nexari had deployed a small fleet. Only 2 vessels returned. The Korans, overconfident in their superior technology, had launched a full-scale invasion. None of their ships or personnel were ever heard from again. "Deploy the scout vessels," Vex ordered. "I want a comprehensive planetary scan before we advance." 20 sleek ships detached from the fleet, accelerating toward Earth. Erin watched them on the display, a strange feeling of foreboding growing within her. "General," she said carefully, "perhaps we should establish communication before—" "The Empire does not ask permission to claim what is rightfully ours," Vex interrupted. "These humans will learn their place in the natural order." The scout ships approached Earth's orbit, their sensors probing the planet's surface. The data streamed back to the Dominator. Cities, infrastructure, primitive aircraft, nuclear installations. "As expected," Vex said smugly. "A species barely out of its planetary cradle." Then, without warning, 3 of the scout ships vanished from the display. "What happened?" Vex demanded. "Unknown, General," Mora replied, her faceted eyes blinking rapidly as she analyzed the incoming data. "No debris, no energy discharge. They simply disappeared." Before Vex could respond, 5 more scouts winked out of existence, then another 7. "Retreat," Erin ordered, her authority as diplomatic lead temporarily overriding even Vex's military command. "Recall the remaining vessels immediately." Only 2 scouts made it back to the fleet. Their data feeds showed nothing. No weapons fire, no enemy ships. One moment they were scanning Earth's upper atmosphere. The next, their companions were gone. "This changes nothing," Vex declared, though Erin noticed a subtle shift in his posture. "We will proceed with caution, but we will proceed. Deploy the ground probes." Hundreds of automated drones launched toward Earth, designed to penetrate the atmosphere and gather intelligence from the surface. Erin watched the feeds as they descended, revealing more details of human civilization: sprawling cities, vast agricultural regions, transportation networks. "Curious," Mora observed. "Many of their largest installations appear empty, as if abandoned." Aaron leaned forward, studying the images. Mora was right. The cities functioned. Vehicles moved. Energy flowed, but at reduced capacity. Many buildings showed no life signs at all. "Underground," she murmured. "They've gone underground." "Preposterous," Vex scoffed. "An entire civilization doesn't simply burrow beneath the surface." Yet, as more probes reported in, the evidence became irrefutable. Vast subterranean complexes existed beneath every continent, some extending kilometers into the planet's crust. "This is consistent with a species preparing for war," Mora noted. "They've hardened their civilization against orbital bombardment." "But how?" Vex demanded. "How could they possibly know to prepare for attacks from space? Their technology indicates no interstellar capability." Aaron's inner eyelids fluttered rapidly, a sign of intense thought among her species. "Unless they've encountered others before, long before our records begin." A sudden alert interrupted her speculation. Dozens of probes had ceased transmission simultaneously. "Defensive systems activated," Mora reported. "The humans are responding to our presence." "Excellent," Vex declared. "Now we will see their true capabilities." What they saw confounded even the most experienced Imperial tacticians. Earth's surface erupted with activity. Launch facilities that had appeared dormant disgorged sleek vessels that rose to meet the Imperial probes. Weapon emplacements that had been invisible to scans now fired with devastating precision. Yet what truly shocked Erin was the technology on display. The human ships moved in ways that defied Imperial understanding, seeming to phase in and out of normal space. Their weapons were not the crude nuclear devices expected from their technological level, but focused energy beams that sliced through Imperial defenses. "This is impossible," Vex whispered, his arrogance momentarily forgotten. "These are not primitives." "No," Aaron agreed. "They are something else entirely." Over the next 12 hours, the Imperial fleet engaged in increasingly desperate skirmishes with Earth's defenders. Each encounter revealed more about the humans' capabilities, and each revelation deepened Aaron's unease. In her private quarters, she recorded her observations, knowing they might be her final testament if Ambassador Keth's warnings proved prophetic. "The humans employ technology unlike anything in Imperial records," she dictated. "Their vessels can apparently shift partially out of phase with normal space-time, making them nearly impossible to target. Their weapon systems adapt to our defenses with alarming speed, as if they've encountered and countered similar technology before." She paused, considering her next words carefully. "Most disturbing is their strategy. They do not seek to maximize casualties, or even to destroy our vessels when they have clear opportunities to do so. Instead, they appear to be studying us, testing our capabilities, cataloging our responses, like scientists observing specimens." A chime interrupted her recording. Vice Admiral Mora requested entry. "The General has called a war council," Mora informed her. "He requires your presence." In the Strategic Command Center, General Vex stood before a three-dimensional display of the Sol system, his exoskeleton rigid with suppressed fury. "We have lost 93 vessels," he announced without preamble, "without inflicting significant damage on the enemy. This is unacceptable." "Perhaps," Aaron suggested cautiously, "we should consider diplomatic contact. The humans have demonstrated technological sophistication beyond our expectations. They may be open to negotiation." Vex turned to her, his compound eyes reflecting the holographic display. "Negotiation? With a species that has decimated our advance forces? The Empire does not negotiate from a position of weakness. Captain, we will show these humans the full might of Imperial power." "General," Mora interjected, "our analysis suggests their defensive capabilities may extend throughout their system. A full-scale assault could result in catastrophic losses. And retreat would signal Imperial weakness to every subjugated world in our territory." Vex countered. "No, we will not retreat. We will not negotiate. We will conquer, as we always have." Arin wanted to object, to argue for caution, but she knew it would be futile. The Empire's doctrine allowed for only one response to resistance: overwhelming force. Instead, she offered a compromise. "Let me attempt contact before we commit to full engagement. If they are as advanced as they appear, perhaps they will recognize the benefits of peaceful incorporation into the Empire." Vex considered this, his mandibles clicking in thought. "You have 12 hours, Captain. After that, we attack with everything we have." As Aaron departed the command center, Mora fell into step beside her. "He's afraid," the Vice Admiral said quietly. "I've served with Vex for 30 cycles. I've never seen him afraid before." "We should all be afraid," Aaron replied. "I believe we've made a terrible mistake coming here." Arin's diplomatic vessel approached Earth alone, broadcasting on all frequencies in the universal mathematical language used for first contact. She had insisted on piloting herself, unwilling to risk other lives on what might be a futile mission. "This is Captain Aaron Tala of the Infinite Empire," she transmitted. "I come seeking peaceful dialogue with the representatives of Earth." For several minutes, there was no response. Then, as her ship entered high orbit, a voice replied, in perfect Imperial standard. "Captain Tala, we've been expecting you. Please proceed to the following coordinates for landing." Arin stared at the communication panel in shock. No species encountered by the Empire had ever learned their language so quickly, and certainly not before formal contact had been established. "How do you know our language?" she demanded. A pause, then, "We've had time to prepare. You are not the first to visit our world with conquest in mind." The coordinates led to a vast, flat plain, in a region the humans called Nevada. As Aaron's ship descended through the atmosphere, she observed no visible defenses, no gathering of forces, just an empty expanse of desert with a single figure standing at its center. She landed a respectful distance away and emerged cautiously, her environmental suit protecting her from Earth's nitrogen-rich atmosphere. The figure, clearly human, approached without apparent concern for their own safety. "Captain Tala," the human said, extending a hand in what she recognized from briefings as a greeting gesture. "I am Director Peter Kane, Earth Defense Authority. Welcome to our world." Kaney was tall for a human, with dark skin and eyes that reflected the sunlight with unsettling intensity. He wore no protective gear, no visible weapons, just a simple uniform of black with silver insignia. "Director Kaney," Aaron responded, taking his hand briefly, as protocol dictated. "I must express my confusion. Your world shows signs of primitive technology, yet you've repelled advanced forces and speak our language fluently." Kaney smiled, an expression Aaron found difficult to interpret. "Appearances can be deceiving, Captain. A lesson your empire seems reluctant to learn." Before she could respond, the ground beneath them shuddered and began to descend. They were standing on a massive elevator platform, Aaron realized, one concealed so perfectly that her ship's sensors hadn't detected it. "I've come to negotiate terms," she said, maintaining her diplomatic posture despite her growing unease. "The Infinite Empire offers incorporation into our collective, with all the benefits that entails." "Generous," Kaney replied as they continued descending into darkness. "But unnecessary. In fact, Captain, I believe it is we who should be offering terms to you." The platform came to rest in an enormous cavern, illuminated by lights that seemed to float unsupported in the air. Around them, Aaron saw humans working at stations filled with technology, far more advanced than anything on the surface. Holographic displays showed the positions of the Imperial fleet, detailed to a degree that should have been impossible given their stealth systems. "You've been monitoring us," she said. "Since you entered the system," Kaney confirmed. "Just as we monitored the Altarians, the Nexari, the Korans, and all the others who came before you." He led her through the facility, past laboratories where humans studied what appeared to be components from alien vessels, past simulation chambers where operators directed ships identical to those that had engaged the Imperial scouts. "What is this place?" Aaron asked, unable to conceal her astonishment. "One of many," Kaney replied. "Earth maintains 57 major defense complexes like this one, and hundreds of smaller installations, all hidden, all waiting." They entered a conference room where several other humans sat around a circular table. Kaney introduced them: military commanders, scientists, government officials. All regarded Aaron with the same unsettling intensity, as if she were a particularly interesting specimen. "Your General Vex is preparing for a full assault," a woman said without preamble. "In approximately 11 hours, according to our projections." "Dr. Lisa Grant," Kaney identified her, "our leading xenohistorian." Aaron studied the human female. Dr. Grant had pale skin and auburn hair pulled back severely from her face. Unlike the others, she looked at Aaron not with clinical interest, but with something approaching compassion. "You should know that such an attack will fail," Dr. Grant said gently. "Just as all previous attacks have failed. We've spent thousands of years preparing for encounters like this." "Thousands?" Aaron's inner eyelids fluttered rapidly. "But your civilization shows evidence of industrial technology for mere centuries." Dr. Grant smiled. "What you see on the surface is a facade. A carefully maintained appearance of technological development, consistent with a species evolving in isolation. The truth is somewhat more complicated." "I don't understand." "You will," Kaney interjected. "But first, a demonstration seems in order." He touched a control on the table, and a holographic display appeared above them. Your fleet, Captain. 3,000 vessels. The pride of the infinite empire. Arin nodded, her sense of foreboding growing stronger. Now, observe. The display shifted, revealing hundreds of objects emerging from hidden bases on Earth's moon, from beneath the surfaces of Mars and Venus, from the rings of Saturn, objects that moved with the same phase-shifting capability she had observed in Earth's defense vessels. Our main battle fleet, Caney explained, held in reserve until now. As Arin watched in horror, the Earth vessels took up positions surrounding the Imperial fleet, creating a three-dimensional net from which there would be no escape. "You've lured us into a trap," she whispered. "Yes," Dr. Grant confirmed. "Just as we were meant to lure others. That's what Earth was designed to be, a trap." General Vex paced the command bridge of the Dominator, his patience wearing thin. The diplomatic vessel should have reported back by now. "Perhaps negotiations are ongoing," Mora suggested, though her tone indicated she believed otherwise. "Or perhaps the humans have captured Captain Tala," Vex countered. "Prepare the fleet for—" A proximity alert cut him short. The holographic display flared with new contacts, hundreds of them, appearing suddenly around the Imperial fleet. "Impossible," Vex breathed. "Where did they come from?" "Energy signatures match the vessels we encountered earlier," Mora reported, her multifaceted eyes blinking rapidly. "But there are hundreds more than we estimated." Before Vex could issue orders, every display on the bridge changed simultaneously, showing the face of a human. "General Vex," the human said. "I am Director Peter Caney of Earth. Your diplomat, Captain Tala, is unharmed and with us now. I suggest you listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you." The display split, showing Arin standing in what appeared to be an advanced command center, surrounded by humans. "General," she said, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "The humans possess technology far beyond our assessment. Their fleet outnumbers ours, and their defensive capabilities exceed our offensive capacity. I strongly advise against hostile action." Vex's mandibles clicked furiously. "You've been compromised, Captain. The Empire does not yield to intimidation." Caney's face reappeared. "This isn't intimidation, General. It's education. You've been manipulated into coming here, just as others were before you. You're operating according to programming you don't even recognize." "Enough of this," Vex snarled. "All vessels, prepare to engage. Target the closest enemy ships and fire at will." The Imperial fleet launched its attack, thousands of energy weapons discharging simultaneously. The human vessels phased, the destructive beams passing harmlessly through them, then solidified to return fire with devastating precision. In the first exchange, the Empire lost 27 ships. "Again!" Vex commanded, his exoskeleton trembling with rage or fear, perhaps both. The second volley fared no better. The human vessels seemed to anticipate every Imperial tactic, countering with maneuvers that exploited weaknesses the Empire didn't know its ships possessed. After 10 minutes of engagement, 142 Imperial vessels had been destroyed or disabled. Not a single human ship had been confirmed destroyed. "Retreat!" Mora urged, abandoning protocol in the face of catastrophe. "General, we must retreat before we lose the entire fleet." Vex stood rigid, his compound eyes fixed on the tactical display as more Imperial ships winked out of existence. "The Empire has never retreated," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. A new transmission cut through the chaos. Dr. Lisa Grant appeared on the main display. "Your ships cannot leave, General," she said calmly. "We've established a phase lock around your fleet, but we don't want to destroy you. We want to explain." "Explain what?" Vex demanded. "Why you're here. Why everyone comes here. Why Earth is the way it is." She paused. "Your Captain Tala has agreed to serve as witness to the truth. Will you join her? Or would you prefer we continue this one-sided battle?" Vex looked around the command bridge, at the faces of his crew. Faces showing fear, confusion, the dawning realization of defeat. For the first time in his long military career, the general of the Infinite Empire surrendered. "I will come," he said, "but only with Vice Admiral Mora as my second." "Acceptable," Dr. Grant replied. "Prepare for transport." Before Vex could question what she meant, he and Mora found themselves enveloped in a field of shimmering energy. The bridge of the Dominator dissolved around them, replaced by the same conference room where Aaron waited with the humans. "Teleportation," Mora whispered. "Actual matter-energy conversion and reconstitution. Technically, it's phase-shifting the matter structure through a quantum tunnel," Dr. Grant corrected. "But yes, effectively teleportation." Vex recovered his composure quickly, drawing himself up to his full, imposing height. "This display of technology changes nothing. The Empire is acting exactly as it was programmed to act," Dr. Grant interrupted. "As were the Altarians, the Nexari, the Korans, and dozens of others before them." Aaron stepped forward. "General, you need to see what they've shown me. It changes everything." Deep beneath the surface of Earth, in a vault protected by technologies beyond even Imperial understanding, Dr. Lisa Grant revealed humanity's true history. 50,000 years ago, she began, activating a holographic display that filled the chamber with stars. "Earth was not the home of humanity. We evolved on a world circling a star you call Lyra 9, as part of a thriving interstellar civilization." The display showed humanoid figures walking among structures of impossible grace and beauty, traveling between worlds in ships that seemed to flow rather than fly. "We called ourselves the Forerunners, though that name has been largely forgotten now. We were one of many species uplifted by a race we knew only as the Architects, beings of such advanced evolution that they existed partially in dimensions we could barely perceive." The hologram shifted, showing entities of light and energy interacting with various alien species. "The Architects claimed to be guiding younger races toward a transcendent future. For millennia, we believed them. We adopted their technologies, followed their guidance, restructured our societies according to their wisdom." The display darkened, showing conflict, destruction. Then we discovered the truth. The Architects weren't mentors. They were farmers. They seeded worlds with life, guided its evolution, harvested the resulting civilizations when they reached a certain level of development, and used them, consumed them, somehow, to perpetuate their own existence. Vex's mandibles clicked in disbelief. "You expect us to accept this fantasy? Some ancient conspiracy of godlike beings?" "We have proof," Dr. Grant replied. "We had already begun to suspect the Architects' true nature when a splinter faction within their ranks contacted us. These dissidents provided evidence of the cycle. Hundreds of civilizations raised up and then harvested over millions of years. The hologram showed data, records, evidence of repeated patterns across thousands of worlds. But, more importantly," Dr. Grant continued, "they revealed how the cycle was maintained. The Architects didn't just harvest civilizations, they programmed them. They embedded genetic and mimetic imperatives in every species they touched, creating psychological drives that would lead to predictable developments." Aaron's inner eyelids fluttered rapidly as understanding dawned. "The Imperial doctrine of expansion is not natural," Dr. Grant confirmed. "It's programming, subtle genetic and psychological manipulation, designed to create civilizations that follow specific patterns of development and behavior. The drive to expand, to conquer, to form empires. These are artificial constructs implanted in your species by the Architects." Vex made a sound of dismissal, but Aaron noticed his posture had changed, his confidence visibly eroding. "Our ancestors rebelled," Dr. Grant continued. "With the help of the Architect dissidents, a coalition of species rose up against their masters. The war lasted centuries, and spanned thousands of worlds. In the end, we lost. The hologram showed devastating weapons unleashed across star systems, entire planets reduced to rubble. As punishment for our rebellion, the survivors, primarily humans, but also members of allied species, were exiled here, to Earth. Our technology was stripped away, our history erased, our civilization reduced to a primitive state. Earth was designed as a prison world, isolated in a region of space the architects considered unimportant. "But how did you regain such advanced technology?" Mora asked, her scientific curiosity overcoming her shock. Dr. Grant smiled. "The architect dissidents who had aided us were also punished. Some were imprisoned with us, bringing knowledge they managed to conceal. Others left hidden caches of technology and information throughout this solar system. Over thousands of years, we rebuilt in secret, always maintaining the appearance of a naturally developing civilization on the surface." "And the other species who came here?" Aaron asked. "Before the Empire?" "Test runs," Caney interjected. "We knew they would come eventually. The architect's programming ensures that any sufficiently advanced civilization will expand outward, encountering and attempting to conquer other worlds. Earth, seemingly primitive yet strategically located, is an irresistible target. So we practiced," Dr. Grant added. "Each encounter taught us more about the lingering effects of architect programming, the technologies developed by affected species, the tactics they employed. We captured their ships, studied their weapons, learned their languages, all in preparation for the day when a truly powerful empire would arrive." "An empire like ours," Vex said quietly. "Yes. Your infinite empire represents the most significant threat we've encountered, and the greatest opportunity. Your civilization's reach extends to thousands of worlds, encompassing hundreds of species. If any force in the galaxy could potentially challenge the architects when they return to begin another harvest, it would be you." "Return?" Aaron's voice betrayed her alarm. "You believe these architects still exist?" "We know they do," Dr. Grant replied grimly. "Our long-range sensors have detected signs of their activity in distant galaxies. The cycle continues elsewhere. Eventually, they will return to this galaxy to check on their experiments, and to harvest those they deem ready." "How long?" Vex demanded, his military mind immediately calculating threats and responses. "Based on historical patterns, between 500 and 1,000 years, Caney answered. "Not tomorrow, but not so distant that we can afford complacency." Aaron looked at the humans with new understanding. "So this trap, this ambush of our fleet, it wasn't about defending Earth. It was about proving a point." "Partly," Dr. Grant acknowledged. "We needed to demonstrate beyond any doubt that your empire, for all its power, is vulnerable. That the path you're on, the path the architects designed for you, leads to eventual destruction. But we also needed to make contact with those who might be capable of breaking free from their programming." She turned to Vex. "Your military mind, General, the strategic brilliance that has won you so many conquests. Imagine it freed from artificial constraints, directed not at subjugating other worlds, but at preparing for a genuine existential threat." For the first time since Aaron had known him, General Vex seemed uncertain. His exoskeleton, normally rigid with authority, sagged slightly as the implications of Dr. Grant's revelations sank in. "You have evidence of this?" he asked. "These architects, their manipulation, the genetic programming?" "Extensive evidence," Dr. Grant confirmed, "including physiological scans of your own species that reveal the artificial neural pathways associated with conquest behavior. We can show you how to identify these patterns, how to potentially counter them." "And what do you want in return?" Vex's natural suspicion reasserted itself. "Alliance," Caney said simply. "Earth has remained hidden for millennia, developing defenses and gathering knowledge. But we cannot stand alone against the architects when they return. Neither can your empire, regardless of its current power. Together, however, with Earth's knowledge and the Empire's reach, we might have a chance, Aaron finished. Bah. The remaining Imperial fleet hung in space at the edge of the Sol system, contained but not destroyed by Earth's defensive perimeter. From the observation deck of the Dominator, Aaron watched as Vice Admiral Mora coordinated with human technicians, integrating Earth's phase shift technology into the flagship's systems. General Vex stood beside her, his posture revealing the profound change he had undergone in the days since their capture. The revelation of the Architect's manipulation had shattered his worldview, forcing him to question every victory, every conquest, every belief that had defined his existence. "The Imperial Council will not accept this easily," he said, breaking a long silence. "Thousands of cycles of expansion cannot be undone by a single revelation, no matter how profound." "Which is why we must provide proof," Aaron replied. "Dr. Grant has provided extensive data on the neural pathways the architects created in our species. With this information, our scientists can verify their artificial nature. And if they refuse to acknowledge the evidence? If they dismiss it as human deception?" Aaron's inner eyelids fluttered in the equivalent of a grim smile. "Then they will learn, as we did, that Earth is not to be underestimated." The door to the observation deck slid open, admitting Dr. Lisa Grant and Director Caney. The humans had agreed to board the Imperial flagship as a gesture of trust, and as a demonstration of confidence in their ability to depart safely, if necessary. "The phase shift integrations are proceeding on schedule," Dr. Grant reported. "Within 2 days, your vessel will be capable of limited phase operations, enough to evade conventional weapons during your return journey." "And the data packages?" Aaron inquired. "Prepared and encrypted," Caney confirmed. "Historical records, technological specifications, evidence of architect manipulation, and proposed protocols for identifying affected individuals within your society. Everything your council will need to verify our claims." "Assuming they're willing to listen," Vex muttered. "They may surprise you," Dr. Grant suggested. "Our scans indicate that the neural pathways created by the architects vary in strength among individuals. Some are more susceptible to the conquest imperative than others. Your High Chancellor Vor, for instance, shows signs of natural resistance in his neural patterns." "You've scanned the Chancellor?" Vex seemed torn between outrage and admiration for such audacity. "We've scanned everyone in your fleet," Caney admitted without apology. "Knowledge is survival, General. We take no chances." Aaron intervened before Vex's pride could trigger a confrontation. "What of your own plans, Dr. Grant? Will Earth continue its isolation now that contact has been established?" "No," Dr. Grant said with surprising firmness. "That strategy has served its purpose. Earth will emerge from hiding, carefully, selectively, but decisively. In fact, we've prepared a diplomatic vessel to follow yours back to Novara, carrying our formal application for membership in your council." "Membership?" Vex couldn't hide his astonishment. "After all this, you wish to join the very empire that sought to conquer you?" "The empire as it is? No," Caney clarified. "The empire as it could be, freed from architect control, redirected toward mutual defense against a common threat? Absolutely. Earth has been isolated too long. We need allies as much as you need our knowledge." Dr. Grant's expression softened. "Besides, not all Imperial citizens are equally affected by the Architect's programming. Many of your people would likely welcome the chance to build something greater than a mere conquest machine." Aaron nodded, thinking of the debates she had witnessed in the council chambers. The voices that had cautioned restraint, the representatives who had questioned the doctrine of endless expansion. Perhaps those voices had been fighting against artificial imperatives all along, guided by a natural morality that even the architect's manipulation couldn't entirely suppress. 1 week, she decided. "We will depart in 1 week, with your diplomatic vessel accompanying us. That should give us time to prepare the Council for your arrival, and to distribute key information to those most likely to be receptive." "A prudent approach," Dr. Grant agreed. "Earth has waited 50,000 years. We can wait one more week." As the humans departed to continue their work, Vex turned to Aaron with an intensity she had never seen before. Not the battle lust of a conqueror, but the focus of a strategist confronting an existential challenge. "If they're right about the architects," he said quietly, "the Empire faces a threat unlike any in our history. Not a civilization to be conquered, but predators who see us as mere resources to be harvested." "Yes," Aaron agreed. "And if they're right about the neural programming, then much of what we believed about ourselves, about our destiny, our purpose, was never truly ours to begin with." "Does that not disturb you, Captain? To learn that even our thoughts may not be entirely our own?" Aaron considered this, remembering the doubts she had harbored about Imperial doctrine, the questions she had suppressed in the name of loyalty. "I find it liberating, General. If our drive for conquest was implanted by outside forces, then rejecting that drive isn't betrayal. It's reclaiming our authentic selves." Vex's compound eyes studied her for a long moment. "You may be right," he finally conceded. "Either way, the Empire stands at a crossroads. What comes next will determine our fate for generations to come. Then we must ensure we choose wisely," Aaron said, "for all our sakes." 1 week later, the Earth vessel, Enterprise, departed alongside the Dominator and the remnants of the Imperial fleet. Unlike the utilitarian designs favored by the Empire, the human ship was a thing of beauty. Sleek, organic lines flowing into elegant curves. Its hull shimmering with the distinctive iridescence of phase shift technology. From her position on the Dominator's command bridge, Aaron watched as the two vessels aligned for the jump to hyperspace. The diplomatic mission had changed profoundly from its original purpose. Instead of bringing Earth into the Empire as a conquered world, they were escorting Earth's representatives to apply for Council membership as equals, perhaps even as teachers. "Fleet reports ready for transit," Vice Admiral Mora announced, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the starlight from the view screen. General Vex, standing with uncharacteristic humility beside Aaron, nodded. "Proceed." As the ships prepared to depart, a final transmission came through from Earth. Dr. Lisa Grant's face appeared on the main display, her expression solemn yet hopeful. "Captain Tala, General Vex," she greeted them. "Before you depart, I wanted to share one last piece of our history with you, something that may provide context for the journey ahead." The display changed, showing ancient human writing translated into Imperial standard. "We came to Earth as exiles, stripped of our glory, reduced to primitive existence. But we carried with us the most powerful weapon in the universe, the knowledge of our enemy's nature. While the architects believe us broken, we rebuild. While they think us primitive, we advance. While they expect us to forget, we remember. And when they return to harvest, they will find not docile crops, but a force tempered by adversity and united in purpose." The words faded, replaced by Dr. Grant's face once more. "This was written 10,000 years ago, when our recovery had barely begun. The authors could only dream of the day when humans would once again travel among the stars, seeking allies against the architects of our downfall. That day has come. We will not disappoint them," Aaron promised. "The truth will be heard in the council chambers. And beyond," Vex added with surprising conviction. "If these architects created the Empire to be harvested, they will discover that their tools have developed edges they never intended." As the transmission ended and the ships entered hyperspace, Aaron reflected on the extraordinary turn of events that had brought them to this moment. What had begun as a routine conquest had transformed into something far more profound. A revelation that threatened the Empire's fundamental nature, yet offered the possibility of authentic freedom. The journey back to Navarra would take 17 days, time enough to prepare their case, to identify potential allies on the council, to strategize how best to present the humans' evidence without triggering defensive reactions among those most heavily influenced by architect programming. It would not be easy. Thousands of cycles of imperial expansion had created entrenched interests, power structures dependent on conquest, belief systems that elevated the empire's destiny above all other considerations. Many would resist, some violently, when their worldview was challenged. Yet Aaron felt a growing conviction that they would succeed, not merely because Earth's technology gave them a decisive advantage, but because the truth they carried resonated with something deeper than the architect's manipulation, the innate desire for self-determination that existed in all sentient beings. As the stars streaked past in the swirling patterns of hyperspace, Aaron made a decision. When they reached Novara, she would not merely present the humans' case to the Council. She would join their cause, becoming a bridge between Earth and the Empire, between the knowledge of the past and the possibilities of the future. The architects had created the conditions for their own eventual defeat. In seeking to farm the galaxy, they had inadvertently cultivated the seeds of resistance. In Earth's hidden strength and the Empire's vast reach, a new alliance was forming, one that might, given time, challenge even the manipulators who had shaped the destiny of countless worlds. Aaron looked out at the hyperspace corridor, seeing not the end of the empire she had served, but the beginning of something greater, a civilization defined not by conquest, but by the shared determination to forge its own path among the stars. Behind them, Earth continued its vigilant watch. Before them lay Novara and the Imperial Council, unaware of the transformation about to begin. And somewhere beyond, the architects waited, confident in programming laid down millennia ago, unaware that their carefully cultivated harvest had learned to recognize the farmer's hand. The trap had been sprung, but not as anyone had intended. In warning the Empire away from Earth, Ambassador Keth had unknowingly helped set in motion events that would reshape the galaxy. The Empire hadn't listened then. Now, they would have no choice but to hear the truth.